Hello class, here we are at preliminary notes to case study 2, part 3. This will be the last part of the notes for this little half week we've had since we've been back from spring break. We've talked about errors and significance level, descriptive statistics, we've talked about numerical measures, graphical measures as in histograms, and now the last graphical measure to consider is box plots. And something we have to talk about with box plots are percentiles. So what is a percentile? The kth percentile is the value x such that k% of the data values are less than x. So I want to relate this, definition of percentiles to something we have been using, talking about the normal table. So maybe pause, take a moment, get out your Z chart where it says cumulative, standard, normal, sorry. And the number I want to look up is the z-score of 2.4. So I'm going to come over here and zoom in and draw my little picture. Ooh. So standard normal, 0's at the center. I'm down here at positive 2.4. And the percentage that falls below 2.4, if you look at our chart, is 0.9918. Okay, so I'm going to use those two numbers, 0.9918 and 2.4, to kind of relate this definition. Okay, so the kth percentile, so the 99.18th, oops, do that a little better. The 99.18th percentile is the value 2.4, such that 99.18% of the data values are less than 2.4. So I know that definition feels a little wordy with all the K's and the X's, but that's how it would apply to actual percentiles. Something commonly that you hear percentiles used a lot are when parents talk about their child's growth. So like, my 2-year-old is in the 90th percentile of height. Well, that means that they're really tall for a 2-year-old versus, oh, my 3-year-old is in the 20th percentile for weight. Well, that means that they weigh on, like, they're a little skinnier. They weigh on the lower end. So percentiles are what we're going to need to help construct box plots. So examples, the 25th percentile has 25% of the data values below it. The 50th percentile has 50% of the data values below it. Okay, so the 75th percentile, how much data values do you think are below it? Oops. Yes, it is 75%. All right, so what we need to construct a box plot is something called the 5-number summary. So the first part of the 5-number summary is the minimum. This is the smallest data value in the data set. The second part is the 25th percentile. Okay, this is called the first quartile. The first quartile, the first quarter, the first 25%. The 50th percentile is the third piece that we need. This is the second quartile, and this also counts as the median. This is the middlemost value in a data set. The next part of the 5-number summary is the 75th percentile. This is the third quartile. And the last number in the 5-number summary is the maximum. This is going to be the largest number in our data set. All right, so we're looking back at this example where 20 random people reported the number of hours of television that they watched per day. So do you remember what shape we called this histogram, what words we used to describe it? Yes, it was approximately normal. So this box down here of summary statistics, This is an example of what data will look like when you get it from StatCrunch. So StatCrunch is the page before this, the instructions that I had on how to use StatCrunch through your My Stat Lab. So summary statistics. So all of these values are coming from the sample. So going across in order. So this is just the title. This is ours. N, that's our sample size. Mean, this is the sample mean. This is the sample variance, sample standard deviation, sample standard error, sample median, sample range, minimum of our sample, maximum of our sample. Q1 is the first quartile. Q3 is that third quartile. Okay, so I do want to go for just a moment and kind of write some symbols under these that may apply. Okay, you're definitely going to want to be comfortable looking at a data set like this and being able to pull off what those numbers mean. So the sample mean, that's X bar. The sample variance, that's S squared. The sample standard deviation, that's S. Standard error, we haven't really talked about too much yet. The sample median, okay? So this is gonna be our second quartile, so commonly called Q2. Okay, range is going to be our maximum minus the minimum. So looking at this data set, if you take 9.1 and so just looking here at the max and the min, if I take 9.1 and I subtract 1, I get my range of 8.1. Then we have Q1, that's the 25th percentile, and Q3 is the 75th percentile. So this is 25th percentile. This is the 75th percentile. Median, just to be super thorough, is going to be our 50th percentile. So in general, you want to make sure you can pick off any one of these numbers that I have labeled here. Now, what I want to look at is using this 5-number summary up above to calculate, or not calculate, I'm sorry, to construct a box plot. So we need each of these numbers in order to construct a box plot. Okay, so you're going to have to use a little bit of imagination here because my box plot is already here. Okay, but I'm going to kind of show you the order of how I go about my box plot. The first thing we need is our minimum. So it starts with a number line. I guess that's a good place to start. We've got our number line, and we put the numbers based off of the minimum and the maximum. So our minimum is down here at 1, and our maximum is down here at 9.1. All right, so my box plot is going to fit somewhere between 1 and 9.1. So the first thing I do is with the 5-number summary, I go through and I make a little notch at each of them. So the minimum is here at 1. And also what you'll commonly see me do is I'll actually label, well, what is it? Well, that's my minimum. Okay, and then I got to go to my next one, my Q1. That's my 25th percentile. And that occurs at about 3.1. And again, I'm going to label it. That's Q1. Okay, then I've got my median, my 50th percentile. That's at about 4.65. Again, I'm going to label it Q2. All right, then we have Q3. That's our 75th percentile. So that's at about 6.15. So I'm going to draw a notch. And I'm going to label it. Okay, so my bar is at about 6.15, okay, compared to that number line. But I don't really want it to go down that far. All right, and then the last thing I have is my maximum, which is here at 9.1. And again, I'm gonna label it. So start to finish again, I've got my minimum, my Q1, my Q2, my Q3, and my maximum, okay? So then what you wanna do around Q1 and Q2 and Q3 is connect all those lines, draw a box, all right? And then from there, we're gonna extend our pen out to our minimum and our maximum. That's how we construct a box plot. Okay, so what I want to do is go through another example on the next page where I have a little more space so that I don't have to be drawing directly over it. All right, so here we have our data from StatCrunch. So what I'm gonna need for my 5-number summary is my minimum, my maximum, Q1, Q2, and Q3. So my number line, I'm gonna come down here and just draw it fresh. So my number line needs to go from my minimum of 35 to my maximum of 73, okay? And so I'm gonna start labeling them from first to last. So first I have my minimum. And then my Q1 is at 43, maybe about right there. Okay, my median is about 47, maybe about right there. Okay, my Q3 is at 50, about right there. And then the last thing I have is my maximum, which is way down here at 73. So in order to finish off my box plot, I need to make a box around Q1, Q2, Q3. Okay, and then I draw a line from my minimum and then from Q3 out to my maximum to get something like that. All right. So there is a worksheet to practice some descriptive statistics on D2L. I definitely encourage you to work on, after you complete all the videos, work on the corresponding worksheets and then move on to the homework, okay? I will make a D2L post talking about this as well, but you do want to try to have all this this first preliminary to case study 2 done by Sunday, because then starting Monday, I will post notes and we will officially start case study 2. Okay, well, thank you very much. Something else I really wanted to let y'all know is that if you have any suggestions on how I can make these videos better, or if I'm doing a good job, or any input you have at all, just keep in mind I'm making these videos for y'all, and so I want it to be something that is beneficial. So really, any constructive criticism that you have, I'm very open to. So yeah, thank you. Have a great weekend. I look forward to hearing from y'all. Okay, bye.